I wish we had a clip of our week 1 show from last year where we were drunk and yelling at each other and not getting bids in. Someone on Twitter today said, will this show be as humorous as last year's? And I thought, no, we're pretty well organized. I think we should be good. But as I check all of our group chats, as we talk with Pat here, who said bids were getting deleted, Ben, I think we might be headed toward another shit show of an episode here.
Oh, I was already feeling that way before you led into that. This is my 4th show of the day, Pete. I don't know how you do that. My brain is fried.
I'm perma-fried, bro. This is just the natural state now. Congratulations, by the way, going on Bill Barnwell's podcast. I haven't got a chance to listen, but that's awesome.
Yeah, second coolest thing to happen to me today, other than the Matthew Berry newsletter thing, which was very cool. Got a cool shout out there.
You got swallowed up by big ESPN today, Bill Barnwell and Matthew Berry's newsletter.
Yeah, Matthew Berry's written by some guy named Pete Overzet. Yeah, no, that was very cool. The Barnwell thing was awesome. I've been reading him since I was in high school, so that was, definitely one of my favorite, probably my favorite real football writer. I really, really enjoy reading him. So I had a blast with that.
All right. The people are already getting restless. They want us to dive right into the topic at hand. FFPC waivers close here in 40 minutes. We're going to try to do a mixture of talking macro waiver strategy, checking in on some of our teams, literally placing some bids, tweaking some bids. But let's just do this right at the top. Elijah Mitchell, he is the man of the hour. The team does sign Trenton Cannon today, but let's just go around the horn here. Let's start with Gretch. What's your take on how heavy we should be going on Elijah Mitchell?
Pretty heavy. I think that's sort of been the whole discussion. I've heard people talking about going 90% plus. I don't want to go that high because I just don't usually manage my blind bid bucks that much. He's not that much of a sure thing, but as far as going incredibly high, he fits everything else that I would look for. Great offense. They have to rethink everything at running back, right? Their plan was Mostert and Sermon, but they apparently weren't ready for Sermon or didn't think Sermon was the right guy or whatever. And now Mostert's hurt. And so somebody, it's uncertain, but somebody's going to produce in this offense. We know that. And how that looks is going to be completely different than everything we talked about in the offseason is the point I'm trying to make. It could still be Sermon, but it's this is going to be different. And Mitchell's obviously the one-for-one skill set guy with Mostert. You know that he's going to play, even if he's not necessarily the guy. But he also has the inside track right now to potentially be the guy. So, I like going, 60%, to a lot.
Pat, thought experiment for you. If Raheem Mostert was on waivers heading into the season, this is before week 1, let's just say Mostert got wiped from every draft and he's now in waivers before that, Sunday waiver run. How much money does Raheem Mostert go for?
900 plus, probably 925. I think in that case, and I think it would be fine. You would take Mostert, you'd leave yourself barely enough fab to be flexible with a couple priority ads throughout the season, being able to churn defenses and kickers without sweating it. But, we know that Mostert's really talented. We're pretty confident in what his role was going to be. There's some things with Mitchell, that we don't know compared to Mostert, but it is somewhat close. And, you were mentioning in one of the chats we're in, that you kind of viewed Mostert as basically he has the ability, Mitchell, to kind of fail into a Mostert role, which is pretty nice. Now, he isn't Mostert. Mostert in a Mostert role was very valuable because Mostert was the fastest player in the league.
Right.
Mitchell's not that. Mitchell's very fast, but he's not Mostert. I think that that's not going to be as startable, as comfortable if he falls into that kind of role. But that's still a pretty startable role in a lot of the rosters that we've built, and he obviously has upside for a little bit more than that in terms of workload.
As you were saying that, and I hadn't even thought of this, it's not really a point of hurting anyone else. Maybe I don't know, maybe someone's made it. But I was thinking back to when Mostert burst on the scene with San Francisco as sort of he was playing special teams and stuff. He'd been around for a while, but when he finally started playing, they just went to him a lot.
Yeah.
And you were saying he's not Mostert necessarily, but like they were like Mostert's great. And I guess the reason I was thinking that is like, but Mitchell could be really good in his own right. We saw him have this breakaway run in week 1. And so it's kind of thinking like, what if he does what Mostert did when Mostert became whatever we're saying Mostert is? He doesn't have the trust of the offense if he fumbles, if he misses blocking assignment stuff, the Ramondre Stevenson thing, the Tyson Williams thing. We saw that stuff happen. The fragility of the position happened this week with young guys. That can happen to Mitchell, certainly. Yeah. But
And I agree, Pat, with that number. Like 925 sounds exactly right in that hypothetical for Mostert. And so then you have what I consider kind of like two things offsetting it. The one, like you said, there's more of an unknown with Mitchell. Like we know kind of what Mostert is. But then on the other hand, we were going to make that 925 in this hypothetical bid knowing that a Trey Sermon was lurking. And we have in the chat people saying Jeff Wilson looms. Jeff Wilson is looming for Mostert, too, in that scenario. We know this team has used 3 running backs in a lot of situations. So I'm saying, like, we've had one guy absolutely clear out and now have information that the team does not think Sermon is ready. So you're getting a Mostert type with less of the threats. And we're now going to get him at a discount because I envision him going in the 725 to 775 range. And I think he should probably be worth the 925.
That's pretty interesting. Here's a hypothetical. If Sermon was available in every league right now, who would you bid more for, Sermon or Mitchell?
Mitchell.
The team has massively tipped their hand on how they feel.
Yeah.
This is Breida Gaskin, right? After week 1, if Breida had been dropped, like, you got to bid on the guy that they played over the other guy and had, Sermon was a healthy scratch. Like, I think the Ayuk stuff might be, Ayuk was not benched. Ayuk played about as many snaps as Trent Sherfield. We have a much stronger prior that he's good in the first place. It's not really, they were both out there and he's also recovering from a hamstring injury. So to me, it's not, that's like, I think Shanahan's a little annoyed with how Ayuk's handled his treatment or whatever, coming back from this hamstring. That feels like a message. The Sermon being a healthy scratch and then them leaning on Mitchell seems like them showing us their hand to me.
Yeah. I don't know if I disagree. I mean, I just thought of that hypothetical. I think I do agree.
Yeah. I mean, and you guys talk about, because Pat, I do think in both of you here, it's informative to talk about Trey Sermon's prospect profile, because a lot of things happen when the 49ers hype them up and we can tell ourselves stories that he's the 1B that's going to become the 1A in an offense that's going to run the ball 500 times. And we sell ourselves on this narrative, but there are red flags in his profile, right? Like, this isn't a slam dunk prospect.
No, he bounced around. On Rotoviz, they've been talking. Sean has mentioned a few times how, Ramondre Stevenson may have run him out of Oklahoma, which was kind of been used. Sean was kind of using as a bull case for Ramondre Stevenson, but it's not a bull case for Trey Sermon, given that we're not even sure Ramondre Stevenson's good, even though I think he probably is. The thing I liked about Sermon best was his draft position and the fact that the 49ers seemed really excited about him. He basically had a really, really strong stretch at the end of last year. And that was the first time he'd kind of delivered on this talent that everyone knew was there, but he hadn't really shown yet in college. So he was someone that I was a little bit suspect of as a prospect, not out on, but just like not as excited about as everybody else. And the things that I liked most about him have now taken a real hit. If the 49ers are making him a healthy scratch and don't seem that inclined to play him, then the reasons that I thought maybe I should adjust my priors have gone away to a degree.
Ben, were any of these running backs ever going to catch a lot of passes in this offense?
No, this is a weird offense. You can never do the high value touch thing. I've learned to just sort of analyze the Niners differently. Like, you can't look at things from an ADOT perspective. They're going to create what seems like unsustainable yak in the passing game. They're going to create unsustainable explosive plays on low value touches in the running game. Shanahan dials stuff up that works. I mean, I don't know what the hell it is that he has that no one else can figure out, but The high value touches were probably never going to be that amazing. The receptions, the green zone looks are going to be there, but the receptions especially are never going to be like massive. But they're still running back points always. You know what I mean? They're willing to just go hard towards the run and positive script. There's so many reasons that you still want to be targeting a back in this offense. So I don't really worry too much about the team high value touch stuff as it relates to like basically only to this offense. This is the only exception.
Yep. And also, I think this is another good point to add on to this conversation. I can't imagine making a bid group for Mitchell that doesn't include Hasty as a contingent bid. Like the whole thing we're talking about is like, it doesn't matter who's the running back that's getting the touches here. And we just want stabs on it. To me, people talk about Jeff Wilson looming. Well, JaMychal Hasty also looms and we should be taking stabs on him.
Yeah. The one thing about Hasty that was interesting, didn't play a whole lot, did get the only green zone touch, did have the reception, and Mitchell didn't have any high value touches. I still like Mitchell. Like they're going to use him like Mostert. It just seems way too obvious for them not to. And he was good coming in. There's all these very positive things around Elijah Mitchell right now at this moment in time that you don't want to overlook. But it wouldn't be that surprising if they used Hasty as like what they used Jeff Wilson as last year. Remember when Jeff Wilson had all those short yardage TDs?
Yeah.
And Jeff Wilson can play. I really feel pretty strongly that he's good. So him coming back is definitely going to hurt. And I think you want to be a little bit – you want to adjust your bids here. I mean, first of all, it's week 2. So, you know, some of these teams you already got a Tony Jones. You already got maybe Tyson Williams. And you obviously need to adjust your bids for that. But I also think you should adjust your bids for what your running back situation is. You know, on that team where we have Chase Edmonds – we don't need to be quite as aggressive. On some of our other teams, we need to be pretty aggressive. So, you know, I think you just have to kind of adjust for that. And if Mitchell playing for 3-4 weeks, that alone can help you make the playoffs, you know, like then Jeff Wilson doesn't loom for that.
And I will say too, I think people might fall in the trap where even if you are set, say you have 3 running backs, early running backs, you hit, say maybe you have the Jonathan Taylor, the Swift, and I don't know, maybe you got Tyson Williams too, or whatever, like whatever that combo is you're feeling comfortable at. If you look at rankings for this week, you're still like, I looked at Paulson's ranks, you know, he has him in the, I think I want to say like running back 30-ish range or whatever. Like it looks like it's not just this slam dunk ad, but that's like a median outcome, right? Like you're almost hedging against the, like, it's just JaMychal Hasty or, you know, he's Mostert in a really efficient offense and he's a top 20 back thing. So It's like, I think thinking about the payoffs here is way more important than
more.
I don't need him.
Yeah. I was talking about this with one of my other co-managers doing some bids today. We did a little call and, he was making some of those points, and I mean, we were in agreement on this. It wasn't like I was driving this point back to him, but I was like, the reason you do it is even if Mitchell has some down games or whatever, some poor performances, the ceiling that we know he offers from the massive games that so many backs have had on this offense, Jeff Wilson at many times late last year, Jerick McKinnon, obviously Mostert, these are just names from last year who had some ceiling games. 25-point, 30-point ceiling games. It was a 0 RB team we're talking about. I'm like, we don't have another roster or back on this roster that can do that. So even if he has duds, well, that's what we're going to be playing on some of these 0 RB teams. Just the fact that we can put a guy in who might have a median rank, like you said, of RB 30, but has RB1 upside every week. I mean, I want to put him in my lineup. And just assume, like, I can put him in for a month and assume that I'll get enough running back points over that month. Like, you know what I mean? It's okay to have ups and downs in these roster spots sometimes.
And the thing is, I feel like you have a pretty big safety net with him again. Like the whole thesis has been this offense can support 2 running backs, like 1A, 1B running backs. Even if Sermon comes out of nowhere and is what we thought he was initially, or JaMychal Hasty is the guy, like the 1B in this offense is going to still be very valuable.
Yeah. And that's, I think, especially for the teams that we have, not every team's like this, but a lot of our teams, we're not feeling great about our running back too. There's a few, you know, we have some Darrell Henderson, we have Chase Edmonds, we have a couple spots where we're actually feeling okay. But for the most part,
how do we feel about our receivers?
In some cases, not good. In some cases, I'm feeling.
I love your receivers. No, I actually hate your receivers too.
Honestly, I'm not loving the receivers on all these teams. That's the crazy thing. It's like 1 week in, you're like, oh yeah, people get hurt and Ayuk gets benched, and now we're like, what are we doing?
I know. I had a team. I did a local Boston area draft with Pat Thorman, Kevin O'Brien, all those guys. I went true 0 RB. I literally today slid Jerry Jeudy, Michael Gallup, and Rashod Bateman, down to my IR from my draft. It's like I went from being loaded at wide receiver to legitimately thin at wide receiver that quick.
Yeah, it's crazy how quick it happens. And the thing, like the draft like you're right idea, I think, well, obviously that's how you have to draft in best ball for sure, because you can't adjust your team. But the thing with that in managed leagues, it's like you don't want to draft like you're completely wrong, but like drafting like you're right to a degree means drafting that you're right in that people are undervaluing wide receivers, and that's how you're going to win the league, by hammering them at wide receiver in the flex. So it's like, it's a tough thing.
Yeah. I mean, Sean's always called it humility-based drafting, right? Like just being humble about it. Like you're hoping that you're going to be right, but you're not necessarily drafting like you're going to be right. You're hoping, but you're acknowledging there's some margin for error.
Right. But we always have gotten, for years, we've gotten like how are you going to start all these guys? Well, like we're not starting Michael Gallup now. We're not starting Jerry Jeudy. Like you get stuff. Also, these guys aren't who we thought they were in a number of cases. Yeah. And
if you get that true, honest dilemma of which wide receiver are you starting, that means you are going to be starting 4 top 20 wide receivers every week, which is an incredible problem to have. If that's the dilemma you're faced, it means you truly did accomplish your goal of tracking down 4 top 20 wide receivers.
Yeah. I think it was when you and Leone were on a Good Football Show, we talked about like, if we have this edge in the structural approach, if we have this edge in playing the wide receivers at the flex, then we actually don't want to have to be right about all of our wide receiver selections, because why did we put ourselves in a position where we had to be right? We don't want to have to be right.
Let's talk about this one, because this is kind of the flip side of waivers right now, of the opportunity cost of who are we dropping? Who are these guys that we like? Oh, go ahead, Pat.
I just want to put some numbers before we move off Mostert.
Okay, go for it.
Not Mostert, Sermon. Yeah. Because I probably a little bit too hard on Sermon's prospect profile, but like I was down on him relative to market. So he in Rotoviz's model, which is the Rotoviz Prospect Lab, which is always a really good tool to use, plugs in draft position, a number of other production factors, as well as some physical like combine measurements. He rated very similarly to Chuba Hubbard, Michael Carter, Ramondre Stevenson, Kenneth Gainwell, but well below, the Najee Harris, Javonte Williams, Travis Etienne. But he was kind of getting pushed up, like he belonged in that first tier to an extent. And I really don't think he did. And then when you compare him, when you actually like look at his profile, things you like about him is he has pretty decent size, 215. He was very elusive. He had a career elusive rating of 117, which is really nice. He could catch the ball a little bit, yards per route run over his career of 1.05, decent breakaway percentage, and he had a really nice 3-cone of 6.84. So basically kind of a bigger back, some agility, some tackle breaking ability. But if you look at Mitchell, he basically has the exact same profile. He's a little smaller, 201, but he's faster, 4.3540. He also had a really nice 3-cone, 6.94. He actually had a better career elusive rating at at 118, and then he had a better career yards per out run at 1.49, which is not like massively better, but significantly better. So really, like the thing with Mitchell versus Sermon came down to draft position. The 49ers like Sermon better. If that's flipped, there's not really much in their profile to suggest that we should prefer Sermon to Mitchell. The numbers, I think, have them pretty even.
Gotcha. And I feel like that's how we should be viewing this on the waiver wire. Like we shouldn't be treating them any differently now, based on this big information boost we have. Did want to transition over just because I'm seeing a couple questions, and looking on our teams, we have some like true scrubs that we drafted that are easy cuts, but in some of these teams we have really tough decisions, and I've seen Pat have to go to battle to not cut his loves Rashad Bateman in De'Ami Brown this week. But let's talk about potential cuts of guys that are on a lot of our rosters. Let's go to Gretch first, and then Ben can say, so De'Ami Brown, what are we doing with him with no more Fitzpatrick?
I think Pat has a stronger take on this, actually. I want to hear Pat.
Okay. Pat, let it rip.
If you're new to the FFPC format, do not cut De'Ami Brown tonight, because you can cut your defense. You can take a look at how De'Ami Brown does tomorrow night, and then if you want to cut him, you can cut him. If you don't, you can figure out who else to cut and pick up a defense. So cut your defense, not De'Ami Brown. He ran, off the top of my head, I believe like 92, 93% of the routes. He ran 2 less routes than Terry McLaurin last week. He had the same amount of targets. This is a rookie, third-round rookie. Had a really strong prospect profile from a production standpoint. Day 2 pick still. And he gets on the field right away and plays basically all the snaps. I mean, that's very bullish. He didn't do anything with his targets. That's not great. We would really like to see him actually play well. But it's week 1. We're heading into week 2. So you get a free look to see if this guy is good. If he takes a dump, drop him. But if he's actually, like, why would you waste this opportunity to see if this guy who just pushed his... I mean, it's Gabriel Davis, right? And Gabriel Davis did it with a weaker prospect profile. And from day 3, this guy had more production. I think is a more exciting prospect. He also moved around the formation a little bit, played in the slot a little bit.
I kind of like his matchup Thursday too. Like, what is it? Bradbury that's the Giants' number 1. Like they did pretty well on Sutton, and then Hamler was just running free downfield, like doing whatever he wanted. The guy looked completely unguardable. That you'd think that might be like a McLaurin kind of gets locked up a little bit, and they need to look at De'Ami downfield. You have Heineke, a little bit mobile, could extend plays. There's a chance we see 2 or 3 long ones to De'Ami on Thursday, so I like holding him and seeing what he does.
Pat, this is a good question. I'm not familiar. Is that same roster churn loophole available on NFC?
I actually don't know that. This is our first year playing NFC. I'm honestly not sure if they have that tweak in the rules or not.
Chris says no, so I think this is FFPC only.
Okay.
Yep. So don't try to do that.
But don't waste that. It's a free look. And I've had to remind some people of that.
It's funny because I used to do that on Yahoo back in the day. That was the quirk. Like ESPN standard settings, whatever, don't allow it, but Yahoo would always let you roster the Sunday or the Thursday and then still drop them if you didn't have them in your starting lineup. So it's definitely an exploitable edge that you should be taking advantage of. What about Rashad Bateman? We've had some debates about Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, so I've been messaging Edwin Porras from Fantasy Points on the side, and he's been saying, like, so before the draft I was like, what do we do here? Like, I have a lot of this guy already, so is it crazy to still draft him if he falls far enough? And he seemed generally on board with still drafting him based on this injury.
He was just trying to pander to you.
No, I was like, I'm about to draft more of this guy. Is that insane? Like, please tell me if it's insane. But he was like, generally, like, it's not like a major injury, the type of thing that should linger. So the 3 weeks they gave him on IR should be enough so that he gets back. Now, I don't know if he comes back and is like playing all the snaps. That seems optimistic, but he probably is going to be playing in week 4 from the sounds of it. I asked him this week if no news was good news or if we should be looking for an update. He said no news was good news. So I don't know. I'm just like there seems to be like a little, like we're probably holding Jerry Jeudy through a longer injury. Jerry Jeudy looked like he was about to break out. I'm very excited about Jerry Jeudy, but we don't actually know that Jerry Judy's going to be good this year because he's coming off a high ankle sprain, which tends to linger and be a problem. Like, are we seriously just going to assume Jerry... Like, why are we giving Jerry Jeudy...
I love how Bateman got hurt and now he's on par with Jeudy.
He's not on par with Jeudy, but we get to see in week 4 off an injury that doesn't have long-term...
Yeah.
Like, the high ankle sprain... The high ankle sprain, and when are we going to see him? 7-8 weeks from now? Like, I'm just saying.
I'm consistent with all these. I have no problem cutting Jeudy. Like I
don't either.
I want to bet against optimistic injury return timelines for these guys, like every time. And these roster spots early in the season are so valuable.
They're valuable. They're valuable. I agree with that.
Once bye weeks hit and like it thins out, like I get it. Like you have a better, like there's not as many slam dunks, but right now they're very valuable.
Who would you cut first, Gallup or Jeudy? We have that roster with both, and you guys were commenting on that, and I was thinking maybe you'd let Gallup go first. Even though Jeudy's
it's tough for me because
more serious.
The calf strain thing, I would like, maybe I need to message Edwin about the calf strain because
your personal doctor.
Yeah, he did help me out. He needs to write me that prescription. No, I'm kidding. No, but I think the calf strain does seem like a little bit opaque in terms of the timeline. Like I don't really know how long that is going to be for Gallup. So I don't know. We haven't gotten any kind of update on how long Gallup's going to be out.
Yeah. I think when there's ambiguity about the timeline return, I am willing to wait to hear for a more concrete timeline. I mean, the Jeudy thing, I mean, didn't we get like the 6 to 8 week?
Yeah, and then today I think it said they're thinking closer to 6. But I mean, we've seen guys that are like, "Oh, I'm back! Like I'm back from a high ankle sprain."
I thought that got 4 to 6 for Jeudy. It started 6 to 8, which was Albright, I think, like projecting what high ankle sprains can be, and then I thought the report was 4 to 6. Don't quote me on that. That's just what I remember.
We had today on NBC Sports Edge, and Rappaport said closer to 6.
Okay.
I mean, he looked like he broke his ankle. Like
it looks so bad.
I imagine it's pretty severe.
And then you also you can't play him his first week back because you're at like a wait and see, to see how he is, and then you finally get comfortable starting him again, and then the FFPC regular season's over.
I mean, I agree with that completely. The other side of that coin is like a couple weeks go by and you're realizing you're only a couple weeks until he's back and someone else picked him up and you're like, man, we're only 2 weeks away from playing him.
Yeah. I'm more saying I do think there are unique circumstances, but in general, like fading, really rosy outlooks for returns has not burned you in fantasy football in general.
Completely agree.
Yeah. But it is tough. And it's team by team basis, right? Like it really does depend on like if you're one of these teams that went running back or tight end heavy or whatever early, like you need the upside of Jeudy in the playoffs. I mean, everyone does technically, but if you drafted 7 wide receivers through 8 rounds, maybe you have enough firepower to justify using that on other promising churn.
Oh, I like Sam's point. I'm with Sam.
We trusting Rap Sheet now?
Yeah.
It's fair. We shouldn't be trusting.
I kind of like the new stat chasing guy over the old stat chasing guy. He seems to know what he's talking about.
He seems sharper. Yeah, for sure.
Real quick on that Denver situation, Tim Patrick, he's another guy for I think wide receiver needy teams that is available on most waivers. He looked kind of like the guy. I mean, what is our take on Tim Patrick?
I'll just parrot Daigle on this, who's been pointing out that Jeudy was playing out of the slot, like primarily out of the slot after playing on the outside last year, and that Hamler came in and was playing in the slot. Now, Hamler wasn't a full-time guy when Jeudy was healthy, but once he went down, he was out there. And if Hamler's out of the slot, I think that's pretty exciting. I want to bet on Hamler a lot more than Patrick just because of the prospect profile with Hamler.
Well, I'm working under the assumption that Hamler's rostered everywhere, most places.
Yeah, I'd rather have Cedric Wilson than
interestingly not in some places, which is
really.
But yeah, I would take I have some bids on FFP in some main events on Hamler. I would take Hamler over Patrick by a lot. Patrick to me, while I was doing silly signals, I was like, man, this guy is just like Zach Pascal. Like they're the same dude. I mean, that's
a good comp.
He's gonna play enough, but like he's not really like somebody I want to start. You have Noah Fant, KJ Hamler, and Cortland Sutton still, who are all from a talent perspective guys that I want to bet on more. I don't know if Sutton's gonna be great. I don't know how all this is gonna work out, but like is Tim Patrick really going to be anything more than a 4 for 40 guy? Like that's all he was this week. He just scored. He was 4 for 40 with the TD. He's going to go 4 for 40 every single week. You can write that down in ink. Every single game, he's going to have 4 catches for 40-something yards.
Yeah. Is there any actual housekeeping and bid tweaking we need to finesse here in the next 11 minutes before we can talk about some other things?
I'm trying to figure out how to adjust these NFC bids, which I can't figure out how to do.
Are these the ones Leone set?
Yeah. I don't know how to change them.
That's
dropping
a Leone
Rashad
feature.
Bateman
Child
for
lock
Jeff
on this.
Wilson, which I think is one of the dumbest things. I mean, what are we going to hold Jeff Wilson for 8 weeks? We can't hold Bateman for 2?
Yeah, the thesis of cutting Bateman is to get a guy who's getting on the field, not to swap him out for another.
I honestly can't figure out how to delete this bid, which is all I want to do right now.
Should one of us text Leone, or did he go to bed?
You might be in bed.
The NFC site is the worst site I've ever been. It honestly makes MFL look easy to navigate. I hate it. Fix your site.
Pat wants to cancel Bateman.
I figured it out.
You got it?
Yeah, right as I blasted him, I figured out how to do it. You click the name. You have to, first of all, it takes you an age to find the friggin' site with your bids on it. Then you have to go. Then you click the name of the guy you're bidding on. Under his profile, you go over to free agency, and then there's your bid. And then you have to hit this little trash can button. Oh my, what a joke. Fix your site.
Fix your site. Let's see here. So, no, there's no other leagues that we need to be adjusting stuff, correct? How's our ship stealing looking? Ben?
Oh, we never Pete. You never once
it.
responded to my messages on Piss Boys, so don't know what we're doing there.
Did you put anything in?
Yeah, of course I put bids in, but
right.
I don't know if they're good.
Okay, we just have the one cut. So we're cutting Quez?
Yeah, we're cutting Quez.
Okay.
As long as you're good with that.
Yeah.
Mitchell was gone in ship stealing. Do you guys want to put a bid on Jermichael Hasty or Mark Ingram or somebody like that? I think Pat was saying our team's too good. We have no cuts, and he did a little.
We don't have any cuts.
He wanted to cut Burrow over Lawrence. Oh, this was hilarious. He was like, I mean, we would just have to go to 1 QB. We'd have to cut Joe Burrow. I mean, I don't see how we can cut Lawrence when he throws as many passes as he has. Joe Burrow scored 3 points fewer, and they were They were the run heaviest team by expectation in the NFL this week.
Lawrence debuted with 25. Lawrence debuted with 25 points and didn't rush. This guy could be a league winner. I'm not cutting Trevor Lawrence.
Is going to crush Lawrence this year. How did you not see that Bengals game and see how easily he scored 20 points?
Burrow's going to be good. But Lawrence.
Okay.
Lawrence
I prefer Hasty to Roundtree, so I flip those guys in that bid.
Do it. Yeah, okay. Flip anything in.
Also, I think our influencing on the show is going well because we have multiple DMs from co-managers who have since upped our Mitchell bid. I got one from Chris, upped it by 10. I want him. Sam just messaged, I put Mitchell up by 20. So the price is going up if you want.
We're raising our own price. We're just influencing our own bids.
During this show, I messaged my other co-manager I was talking about, and I raised my Mitchell bid while we were talking. Hey, this is the team where we have Gallup and Jeudy. We could cut one of them, but we have 7 good running backs.
We don't need to do that. Let's just cut the defense and then save the pain for later. Because I think we have Brown
Boyd and Diami on our bench because we have such good receivers. Oh, you want to start Devontae Parker? Gross.
I mean, we drafted him.
We drafted him. You guys made me draft him. I begged you to take Jalen Reagor. No, we need Devontae Parker. He could get 10 targets.
No, you know what we said is if he didn't get 10 targets but week 1, we would cut him.
I did promise you that we would cut him.
Yeah.
He got the targets. We can't cut him.
I don't know if he got 10. We got 9.
Well, he had a lot. He actually had a lot.
Here's this team. This is what we tell you. I mean, this is such a boring bid group. All we have is defense here. We got the Burrow Lawrence. We did hit on Tyson
and we also had Sony Michel late. That's the team that we've talked a lot about that Sean mentioned to take Michel late. I mean, good running backs. Damian Williams, Pete was your guy, and that looked really nice on Sunday night. I mean, we have 7 pretty viable running backs on this team. for a team that's so receiver heavy.
It's crazy how shitty our wide receivers got with these injuries. It's crazy.
I know. It really is brutal.
Where are we at with Viska in this gadget A-dot role?
He's got to see some downfield targets. That's where I'm at with it. I don't buy that that's going to be the thing the whole year. Was he in a gadget role? I mean, I think he was just like running a lot of shallow routes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did anyone check with Hassan and Blair? Did they put bids in on the football guy team?
Oh, God.
Hassan and Blair, you have to put bids in on this team.
If I go to this team...
Just bring it up.
Hassan, we will send you to Australia.
You know what they'll do to you there.
Do you know how overwhelming this is? I just want to show people. This is what I look at when I log into my account. I'm getting echo now from one of you.
Yeah, because my headphone died.
I don't even know where to look. And can we just talk about all that red?
Yeah, there's a lot of red over there.
It's a lot of red.
Mine had a lot of red on it too, and it's a lot to say.
The football guys there.
Which one is it?
I believe it's called the Pentagon.
No, that's Mailman. I don't think I'm a co-manager on this one.
Oh my God.
I don't have access to this.
If there's no bids on this, I'm gonna.
We lost by 3 points on Cranking Purple. I knew that was close, but that's annoying.
Yeah, let's look at the Crack Rock.
Oh yeah, we had Tyson on. Oh my God, he had it at halftime, and he didn't get any work in the second half. We lost by 3 points. I wasn't tilting this or anything, but I am now. I mean, we should have won this game if he would have just played in the second half. Pick up a pass block.
And we lost to a Jacoby Myers team, which that's really sticking it to us.
Yeah, it is sticking it to us.
Imagine if we would have just taken Cooper Kupp over Robert Woods.
Oh,
okay. Hassan put in bids. Thank you,
Hassan.
Yeah, honestly, the Robert Woods pick.
Not great, Bob.
Not looking good.
Someone do a mashup of the Mad Men and Robert Woods meme. Not great, Bob. Yeah, a rough week for us, but we are resilient. We are fighters. We build our teams to get better as the season goes on. At least that is the story we will tell ourselves for now.
Yeah, I mean,
we had a pretty good week in total points. There were a few teams that did not do well, but the vast majority of the teams put up points. And
I mean, having Tyreek is good. That team has Tyreek, Diggs, and Josh Allen. I actually love that. I think Diggs is going to bounce back plenty fine. Tyreek looks like a top 5 overall player. He was so phenomenal. Lockett looked amazing. That Robert Woods pick is going to cost us $500,000, and we're going to show Crack Rock that clip on loop, like Clockwork Orange.
Yeah. We're going to tell Crack Rock he has to make us whole on the $500,000.
The $500K. You know what's going to happen, guys? We're going to end up running a dispensary. That's how this ends.
Yeah, that's how this ends.
This is like,
well, we own a dispensary now.
He's going to have to give us that dispensary to make us whole.
It's like
on Bobby Trees. It's perfect. You make us drop Bobby trees, then we sell trees for a living. As we own a dispensary in Massachusetts now.
A rejected Breaking Bad spec script. 3 fantasy bros take over a dispensary after their co-manager made them take Robert Woods over Cooper Kupp.
Hijinks ensue.
All right, yeah. So it's it happens here. So we have 2 minutes. Let's do a little guessing game here. We put bids. I think our bids are anywhere from like 550 to 800 on Mitchell. How many Mitchell shares do you think we end up with here in a few minutes?
I don't know. You want to wait till roster's locked for a second before you just start telling everyone our exact bids? We've already.
I just gave a range that is the set range for all of these.
What was the range?
There's literally people that watch our show that are in these leagues. What are you gonna tell them our general range?
I am breaking no news that he is going to go somewhere between 550 to 800 in all of these leagues. That's exactly where he's going to go. My narrow band is I think he's going to be more in the 725 to 775.
Well, I just upped to 703. Should I go higher?
I'm the one that just. I can't wait until the next closest bid on all these is like 340.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of what I think's gonna happen.
You can't take it with you.
That's right, Pat. You can sleep when you're dead.
Well,
next year,
guys.
remaining fab.
Why don't we use some of our fab from 2020 on this guy, huh?
I have enough time to edit my bid, so maybe I'll go do that because I'm watching the show and I just got a really good tip that I think it's going to be somewhere between 725 and 775.
Just don't let me say things with confidence affect your decision making.
You did say that very confidently.
I mean,
yeah, literally Andrew Schellenberg. Literally Andrew Schellenberg going, I think I'm going to just change my bid. Change my bid now. I don't know what you're bidding. Thanks. Good job, Pete.
Oh, we fuck ourselves so much with this show.
Literally. He literally is in our leagues. They were like in 2 leagues. It's okay, you wait 2 minutes. It's fine. Now it's 10 o'clock. You can say.
No, I mean, come on. We've already, whatever.
All right, put in the chat. Put in the chat what you guys put in.
Who? What we put
Sam
in?
up to Sam up to
$5.
Where's
he went from 753 to 758.
It's so good.
Here we go, Kevin. See, Kevin in our league knew he had to come out big.
Look at these numbers. All of these are higher than the number that I did.
No, 988. That's aggressive.
That's very aggressive. I wouldn't do that.
After the inside info. The inside info is now everyone watching this.
Well, yeah, but is Greg in our league, Gregor? Which one of our leagues are you in, buddy? You couldn't wait 2 minutes.
See, come on.
Oh.
Jet goes 945. Fuck y'all.
Pete.
Dude, this is my big pump and dump. I think Elijah Mitchell sucks.
Yeah, his prospect profile sucked.
I'm gonna be so low.
6th-round pick,
Michael
dude.
Hasty shares.
Oh
God.
This is ridiculous. What are we doing here? Oh my God.
Is he in our league? I'm like literally tilting really hard right now. We just gave at the last second we just gave away Elijah Mitchell.
It just seemed right. We live stream during all of our drafts.
God damn.
We talk about all of our targets. I mean, why wouldn't we?
Why would you just tell everyone we didn't go?
I brought up 600
in any league.
You asked me earlier. I brought up 600. I mean, I was being not completely coy, but a little bit coy, and then Pete just threw out late. No, we're really going 800.
Yeah, we didn't go above 800 in any leagues, unless in case you guys wanted to get above us real easily.
You know what's funny about this, Pat, is like I was more vague in our private chats because I was going through and all of our stuff was like, 650, and I was like, I think we should be more aggressive, but I never like put a concrete number to it because I didn't want to be the crazy guy that was like, I think we should bid fucking 850 on this guy.
I know.
Well, you should say that.
You anchor to the first suggestion when you have like partners and stuff. I mean, it's like, well, we're going more aggressive than what we were thinking, and then we were reading all these and we're like, well, fuck, they were all more aggressive than we were.
All right, Pat, get us our first NFC waiver reveal here.
Oh, wait, we didn't have Elijah Mitchell in that available.
That'd be like staying on 5.
No, we didn't have Elijah Mitchell there. Yeah, Shelly, I have to say, you're like the worst blackjack player in the world. Like, I've never seen anyone stay on 5, and then the blackjack dealer literally show you all the cards that you should have gotten. She got so mad at you, Shelly.
Wait, what happened?
He had 5. And she's like showing a jack or something. He was just like, no, I guess what did she couldn't have been showing jack. It wasn't that bad.
I think she had an 8.
Anyway, she had an 8. Okay. But then how did he stay?
He had
because she's going to have to hit.
It was a complete free card.
That he had a 5. You can get any card and then stay.
Any card. And he just was like, I'm staying.
It was impossible for his hand not to improve.
She was like, no, you don't want to do that. And he was like, yes, I do.
That's my lucky number. You're gonna bust.
I love that his avatar is the little Kermit the Frog meme too. He's like, I stay on 5.
I still would have lost.
I think you would have lost because
outcome over process. You still would have lost. It doesn't.
You would have busted like 5 cards in, but you still could have stayed it at a later date, right? You didn't have to keep hitting endlessly.
Yeah. How much did y'all bid on Mitchell? I mean, we literally told you. I mean, Pat's mad at me because I literally.
Is this what every week's gonna be like?
I wouldn't be mad at Pete if he was lying.
I joined you guys at the end of last season. Is this what every waiver run is like? Basically. Is this what I have to look forward to?
This was a good one. This was an organized one.
Fuck.
What did we get in NFC?
I don't know. I don't have the stomach to look at Rashad Bateman being.
He
gone.
can't figure out the site. He's a boomer.
I don't think we got anything. I honestly don't think we got anything.
Do we have Bateman on our team still?
We have Bateman. We still have Justin Jackson.
What?
Well, we were pretty light on bids for round.
Wow.
We did like 13 for Roundtree. And...
This is burn zone down here, right? One Mitchell and NFC by dog. What was
That's
it?
why you need that encouragement from.
What were the numbers?
Up
Help
the
us.
bid at the last second.
Did you go up by 5 at the last second, like Sherm, and win by $1? $758 to $757.
That's how you do it. That's how you do it, Phil.
Well, fuck.
Nice
I
work.
only went up to 703, so I'm screwed.
We have some that are just under 800. We have some that are more like in the 500. I wonder what Sean put in. I let him make the final adjustment.
I went up from 612 at 959. He says he went up from 612 to 758. Pete helping out the ship. He's a man of the people, helping out the ship chasing subs. Burn
right.
zone at 959 wins it by $1. That's a pretty all-time moment right there.
That's an all-time moment.
That was pretty impressive.
I'm like the Jim Cramer Mad Money of waiver bids. It's going up and up and up. The bids. This is the only way.
You got
to get
Mitchell
away.
highlights behind you. You gotta get him.
All right, Eric.
Fuck, I didn't actually go any higher because I was like, my co-managers kind of like to save fab, and I felt. Now I'm mad. You're gonna be right. It's gonna be like 750, and I'm gonna be sitting here at 703 with my dick in my hand.
I started 500 and went over to 800 in 5 minutes. Elijah better be good because it cost people like 300 fab if he's not.
30% of their bid box just because we were talking to.
Oh God. Well, you can't take it with you.
I will say, I mean, there's a significant thing to be said about either bidding a lot to get a guy or bidding like $1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's how I like to do it.
It's essentially the only ways to get guys. Either bid $1 when no one's buying that person, or just shoot your load. Go big.
That's what Pat and I talked about that on previous years, and those are the bids I end up hating the most, like the like $35 to $40, where you're kind of there's a reason they're a low confidence level pick, and you're generally hemorrhaging money, and those are also the ones where you're most likely to see the next highest bid is $2.
It's $2, yeah. Just bid 30,
yeah.
Or there's no other bid, and you just spent 35, and you could have spent 1.
Yeah.
Even like bids at 110 sometimes will be like there's next bid's like 11, or even lower.
Yep. All right, I'm gonna go grab a quick drink. I need to do my pump and dump, and now I just kind of need to wind down a little bit,
Yeah. I just texted 4 minutes ago. Can you send up a beer? And my service is
Oh yeah,
Wow.
where's
Thank you, love.
No beer yet?
Love you.
Oh wow, dude.
Wow.
It was my wife.
Yeah, that didn't seem like your daughter.
Right as I was complaining about her, she walked in.
That's right, Andrew. Although I don't see it reflected right now in your chat, but they don't call me ABC Pete for nothing. That's because I always be closing.
So Sam sure wants to talk about the top 100 teams in the main event. Any reason for that, Sam? Any reason in particular you want to talk about the top 100 teams? We have a top.
You guys
100
got a squad? Is your team with Sam up there?
Yeah, we got 89th. Our team with
Nice.
Sam is ranked 89th, and we made a pretty suboptimal roster decision as well. So we could be even a little higher if we
What?
hadn't, screwed that
What
up.
is it? A Tyreek team? What's like the build?
What did we do? We didn't. What did we do, Sam? We did something wrong. No, it's we have Jamar Chase, Devonta Smith. How is this team so good? I'm not sure.
I'm putting it on the screen. You've named two rookies that scored like 18 points. I mean, they were good, but
Yeah, let's see.
oh, you got to have Amari. Do you have Amari? That's right. It's got to be Amari.
Amari for what?
Hubbard's bet 969 for Mitchell. We just heard. So
I always said he was sharp.
that's
Um,
a good sign that my casual, normal, small bids are going to work.
Yeah, Amari. So we have Amari, Swift, Tyson, Devonta.
Oh, the bids went through. I have a new defense on my team.
all right, let's do this. Should I open 17 tabs and go through our teams?
No, we can go. So the FFPC now, you can go to manage all line. You click my teams, then manage all lineups, and then you can search for a player, and it'll show you which teams you have them on.
But that doesn't have quite the same drama.
Well, that's how I'm doing
What the
it.
hell do you even
It's
view
not
bid
fast.
groups report? It's not showing me yet.
All right.
We got them on 2 teams.
I got him. I was unsuccessful at 703. It won't show me the whole report.
Oh, we might have got them on more teams. I'm still logged in on my account. I'm not on most of the teams.
Oh,
I'm logging
God,
on
you
yours.
scared me.
Got him on 2 is all?
On the ones I'm on, but I'm only on like
How do you search that?
half of them. You go to my teams, and then you go to manage all lineups.
Tell us in the chat.
We missed on Hamler too.
We didn't get him on the ship chasing crew with Sam and Eric.
On Piss Boys, Pat, our team, we got Hasty.
969 in the one I'm in. Jesus shit.
We got Hasty on the ship chasing crew with Sam and Eric. We got Hasty on the G Unit team with Chris.
How do you check all your rosters for
Under
the guy?
my
I
teams,
opened
you click
17 tabs.
manage all lineups.
And then you go to search?
Yeah. We only got him on 2 teams. We got him on Gormanji, and we got him on ship taking. That's it.
Wow. So I don't really know how to untangle this, but I guess I do want a victory lap, us needing to bid a lot to get him, unless I influence all of our opponents to bid even more. In which case, either I'm a genius or I'm an idiot.
You're not. That doesn't make you a genius. I just want to say that. It doesn't make you a genius.
It makes me an oracle.
This is like the guy who like tries to predict the end of the world,
I told you guys
Doesn't.
to all up your bids. You didn't
and
listen
then somehow gets us to buy back in.
Oh my god.
What the fuck?
This is, and of course the team we get him on is the team with Davis where it's like our best running
We don't
back.
even need him.
Hey,
Luckily,
hey,
we like sort of desperately needed him in that. Yeah. God.
You know what we do have? We have a shit ton of Jamichael Hasty now.
Yeah. Well, Jamichael Hasty is really the better play.
I've always said that he was the better play.
I don't even have a shitload of Jermichael Hasty at this. It looks like.
We actually,
Do I
we
have
have
him
5
with you guys?
shares of Jamichael Hasty now.
I don't even know how the fuck you're searching for this.
You
I
go to
literally opened
teams.
17 tabs.
I know I did what you said, but like, where does
we
it
go.
tell you when I
Yeah,
search
start
for it?
telling us. 961. All right.
Pull it up, and then we'll show the people.
Oh,
Pull up
it shows you the check mark. I got it.
Yeah.
And what?
So we got him in
You go
green and
manage all
purple.
lineups. Under my teams, manage all lineups. It's up at the top, 2 over from search.
Christ.
Yeah. Then you go over to search. You just type in.
But is it going to show you the bid
You
number?
only got 2.
Not the bid numbers.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
only
what I
2.
was... Yeah. It's brutal. What's this?
I don't know what
these,
that is.
That means your starting lineup's not filled. You don't have a quarterback.
You're right. We have 3 quarterbacks.
Oh, we got James O'Shaughnessy. All right, that's fine. We'll win the league that way.
We're at the
God.
point of the show where our consolation prize is James
The
O'Shaughnessy.
James O'Shaughnessy thing came out of nowhere, Pat, but you're on it.
Hey,
You're loving
77% of routes, 20% target per route run. Team's gonna throw a lot. That's all I need. That's all I need. It's Logan Thomas's exact profile, and he was free instead of costing a ton of.
It's definitely not Logan Thomas's exact profile. That's not.
You're right. He gets targeted at a high rate.
974. Kevin got him for 951.
I mean, he's
right.
like
I did
fat
see
and
this, but I
slow.
don't remember
James
the
O'Shaughnessy is like a middling athlete.
And what about Logan Thomas?
Logan Thomas is like a lean, mean.
You're gonna pull
machine.
up. You're gonna pull up some combine numbers from like 2013.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
dude's an elite athlete.
Yeah, he went for 997 in our Silas and Gormanji draft.
And that's a landmine. You don't want to do that to yourself.
No, I mean,
You got some
definitely
flexibility.
Yeah, you got to be in like the 964 range and have
964. That's totally fine.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, Daigle had a tweet about people bidding what was it, like 70%? I was like, shit, son.
That's price enforcing.
That's nothing. I think the people with skin in the game have spoken. And he was a good at it. Saw this coming from a mile away.
And some people saw it coming from 2 minutes before waivers locked. And those people watch this show.
Come on, we're influencers. We're not changing the entire FFPC landscape. Get out of here.
We're changing the people in our leagues who, like, we know Jet was watching. We know.
No, but we're getting bids from all these different leagues that aren't ours. 969. We're not in a league.
Yeah, but 605. Why didn't that happen in my fucking league?
Exactly.
That's what you were looking for.
I should have given the other part of my spiel. My Jim Cramer was, you got to go up, 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 but not too high. You got to be careful. You got to
temporary expectations. Play it cool. You know, like Jim Cramer says.
Jesus. 960? I thought I was being aggressive. What is going on?
That's too much.
Guys, this is too aggressive for. I mean, it's a Shanahan running back, guys. He's going to be in a committee.
Nick, 995. I mean, this is the boomers were all over this, and the boomers don't listen to us.
Sean threw in bids that were like 580 in the leagues I did with him, and I was like, that's fine, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't max. You have to leave $1 so you can make one more transaction after. It would be very fun to go and see, like, if you were doing the 997 bid. First of all, that's just incredibly reckless. You had to have taken like an elite defense and an elite quarterback and an elite kicker. Like you can't stream the entire year.
Yeah, and I would also say, I mean, if you want to take victory laps on things we said earlier today, there was a point where we were talking about going more conservative. To Pete's credit, he was not part of this conversation. He was on the more aggressive side. But it came up that, you know, a lot of these teams already are set at running back. And I was like, these teams never feel set at running back, dude. No, they always are going after the running backs.
They love it.
951 in a league I did it with Sean. I'm checking the ones I did with Sean. He went 951.
Look at this setup and knockdown inside joke from Valaire and Chris. Shelly bid $5 on Elijah Mitchell, and he stood pat. That's a great joke.
That's nice.
That's nice.
It's right next to each other in the comments.
Yeah. I agree, Henry. Although you've called us stupid a lot of times too. So.
Yeah.
A guy took Callaway for $9.95 on the preseason waiver wire.
Wow.
Shout out to Phil, who is the defending main event champ, who we drafted literally right next to.
Yeah.
We were team 12. He was team 11, and just sniped the shit out of us for an entire
The whole
draft.
It was
Cheers.
brutal.
Yeah. This is a good. Did we have some Njoku in any of our contingency bids?
We had a little bit of Njoku. Ben was more.
I just saw James O'Shaughnessy go for 67. Am I playing against you in this league?
If it was a dynasty league, yes.
This league I'm doing. Oh, you're stashing him. He's 29, but he's.
I mean, dude, literally every tight end who's ever mattered off the waiver wire has not mattered how old they are. Like Logan Thomas, for example, was a rookie in 2014. I looked it up earlier.
No, I'm not making that point. I agree with what you're saying.
You just take the production. You take
the thing with O'Shaughnessy is that it's a lot of the guys that break out late. It's because they haven't played a lot. He's played a ton. He just had one decent game because they threw 50 times.
He ran 77% of the routes and got 20% target per route. I'll tell you what, literally that's all. Because, like, how was I supposed to predict George Kittle? What was in his prospect profile? How was I supposed to predict Darren Waller? Like, he was very athletic.
They were very good athletes, both of them.
Okay. They were. I mean, Kittle is actually not that good of an athlete, is he? Am I?
Wait, is O'Shaughnessy the next Waller or Kittle now? I thought he was the next Logan.
No, I'm just saying, like, and then you want to talk about Brandon Myers, Gary Barnage, a million other guys I can't remember.
Look, I can't give
these tight ends. They pop out of nowhere.
I touted Tyler Kroft, and by the way, if you took Tyler Kroft on my advice, I hope you cut him because.
No, I'm sticking with Tyler Kroft. Ran a lot more routes than Ryan Griffin, and Ryan Griffin got targeted heavily.
Gretch,
which I think is good. I actually the opposite take, Gretch, because I think that Zach Wilson targeting the tight end aggressively is good for Kroft because he's out there so much more than Griffin.
I wrote that in signals. I wrote that you can hold him, but I'm just hedging and telling you to drop because I was I think I wrote I've tied up too much of my equity.
This is actually a crazy one because we had been talking about this in Discord. We talked about the take a peek stuff, and we were going to do it with Patterson on Thursday night. Cat's out of the bag on that. If we're paying $44, so like I think of the take of the peek as a $1-2 take a peek. Not
a take of the peek.
I like the take of the peek of the Patterson. See what he does. If you don't like him, you throw him a bag. It doesn't matter.
What the fuck?
Are we gonna have to do a preview take a peek where you take the guy who also plays Thursday, so you get a little double
the
peek
of the peek. That's the take a peek.
You got to get ahead. It's the get ahead. You take a peek a week early, so you take who's playing next Thursday. Should we pick it up? I guess we can pick him up Sunday. I'm only half kidding.
Oh my god, we didn't even get him for 805 in this fucking league. Oh, by the way, we should talk about Van Jefferson. He sucks, right? You guys realize he's terrible? Well, we're talking about Tyler Kroft.
Are you regretting cutting him now?
No, he's bad.
That Dynasty League for.
Did you see
just in case anyone doesn't remember all of Ben's Dynasty waiver moves, Ben cut him. Have we talked about this actually on the show? Ben cut Van Jefferson in a Dynasty League, which is very deep and best ball, so the later guys do matter. And immediately everyone was like, I would have traded you for Van Jefferson. I would have traded you something good.
You're not. No, that's not exactly what happened. So Davis's thing now is that he likes to tweet at me whenever he comes up and say he likes to say that Van Jefferson for a round 4 rookie pick, which it's like I cut him and people said they would have given me a round 4 rookie pick. What actually happened is I offered Davis, who was the biggest rebuild mode guy, who made the most sense by far to just grab Van Jefferson and see if he could get anything. He traded for Albert Okwuegbunam, like a 3rd round pick, right? So I offered him. I
believe it's pronounced O.
I don't know how to say his name. What did you call him? Okwuegbunam?
Albert Okwuegbunam.
Okay. I offered him a 4th, or to get a 4th, and he declined immediately. Snap declined, didn't give me any reasoning or whatever, and I was like, it was during the rookie draft. I was like, fuck this, I'm just going to drop him and make my pick. I'm not going to send there's 6 rounds in the rookie draft. I'm not going to send everyone a 5th round rookie pick and 6th round rookie pick, and then everyone was like, I would have gave you a 6th for it. I don't even want a fucking 6th. What am I going to do with the 6th? Cut him too? Anyway,
but not for a year. You get to hold it for a little longer. It makes you feel good.
I love Kevin saying awesome show, gents, and sending us $5 because we told him what our bid was going to be for Mitchell, and then he was able to bid more than that and get.
Yeah, Kevin, you owe us, I believe, $1,895.
Yeah. I also love this comment. Did you guys get to the part where you're way off on Montgomery? The part where we were drafting Amari Cooper and DJ Moore and T. Higgins instead of David Montgomery?
Yeah, 1,000 apologies for.
Yes, we were way off on drafting.
Also, by the way,
David Montgomery? Wait,
Montgomery has
what?
the exact same role he did before Tariq Cohen got hurt, so enjoy the rest of the season.
We weren't wrong on David Montgomery. Are you kidding me?
No, we were wrong.
David Montgomery.
Let him have this, Ben.
Let
him have this.
Let me have this. David Montgomery. I just did the Van Jefferson thing.
Do it.
David Montgomery in 9 of 12 games. I can spell it, Kevin. I can spell Oogabidingong. I write it a lot. Wow. I can spell it without even looking it up. I just can't say the damn thing. In 9 of 12 games after Tariq Cohen got hurt, played 80% of the snaps or more. He was in the 70s once. He was in the 60s a couple of times. He was in week 1 this year with Damian Williams on the roster at 59% of the snaps. I mean, someone said that maybe he got banged up. Did he get banged up in that game? Did I miss that? Somebody mentioned that in my comments on Stealing Signals. But 80% plus was his consistent role. Now he's down sub 60%. That's a massive difference.
I don't know what league was David Montgomery going in the 5th and the 6th. Are you talking about underdog drafts? I don't know what you're talking about, Dan. But happy to book any other bets that you want on guys that we were drafting over him in that range. Unless it's Jerry Jeudy.
Anyway, he had a 41-yard run, and he had a short touchdown, and he's a sell high. Unless Fields makes him super efficient.
Dan, yeah, I mean, Jamar Chase was falling to the early mid-6. Pat, where did we get him in that one draft? He fell all the way back to us in the late 6th, was it? In Piss Boys? Yeah.
Yeah. In Piss Boys, we thought about him at like the 504 and took him at the 609. Pretty crazy. All the discount guys at the end of the summer discount wide receivers are all shaping up pretty nice so far. We obviously don't know Will Fuller yet. He was one of the big ones, but DJ Shark had a big target game, a lot of air yards, and Hollywood Brown, not a bad start for him. So I don't know. Those guys formed like a little trio with Jamar Chase. And Will Fuller wasn't really a late discount guy. He was basically discounted the entire way.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very, very excited to see Will Fuller next week. Not a great start for Tua. Didn't look too good. Excited to see him with Fuller. Waddle, though, looks like he could be great.
Good.
That was too low on Waddle.
This is actually a good question, Gretch. Have you ever thought about recording Stealing Signals articles? I'm just not good at reading. A very slow reader.
People have asked this. I've actually gotten some of these like third-party places that have reached out and been like, we can record it, put it on Spotify. I just haven't done the legwork. That's the honest truth. Like I don't like.
You should do it.
It takes energy.
Yeah. Yeah, because the ETR guys, they have their professional voiceover artist that reads Silva's matchups column or something. You need to get that guy.
Sizzle, read it for you.
I'll do it. You want me to do it in my Italian accent? You take a peek. We look at the higher value of touches. How much would people pay for my Italian accent reading of Stealing Signals?
Pete, what's the difference between the green zone and the red zone?
The green zone is inside the 10, and the red zone is inside the 10.
It wasn't trivia. I was hoping you would explain it in the Italian accent.
Oh, sorry. I actually don't. Am I correct?
You're correct. Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't trying to set you up.
I thought
no, it wasn't a trick question. No, I was feeding you some Stealing Signals-esque.
It's not within the 10 yard line.
That's all I wanted.
The best part is I know you read stealing signals. You reference it to me, stuff that I've written, but you still don't know what the green zone is confidently. I read about it like constantly in that article.
To be honest, I do skip the intro. I just get to the player stuff. No offense, Ben. Ben, you literally wrote an intro to the intro the other day.
What? Yeah. Clayton S. What about the gabagool zone? That's so good. Pull it up so people don't think I'm crazy.
Extra 69 cents a month for Pat and I to read it in various.
Oh, Pat has been loud. The people told me I was quiet. The people being Pete and Ben. I'll turn it down. Am I loud? Or am I just? You just mean I'm yelling?
Look at Chris G liked my intro. Fuck off, Pete.
I just was like, I read the intro and I was like, ready? And then you said, no, this is the intro to the intro.
Gretch has a style of writing.
I just start writing, and then I'm like, fuck it, I'm just gonna send all this shit.
Well, dude, I mean, you have like, I'm reading. You literally, you'll like write something, and then you'll be like, I don't know. Anyway, and I'm like, literally hear your voice in my head. I'm like, is Gretch here? Like, you write exactly like it's talking to you. I'm like, what the fuck?
See, why do you need someone to read it to you when I'm already saying it in the writing?
I mean, right. Gretch, like I literally read Gretch say, 1 second, my daughter's throwing me a beer. Oh, got it. And then he kept writing.
You should throw that in there at some point.
No, you really should. That's good.
Yeah.
That was really interesting from North. 6 of the 9. You pulled that up, right? 6 of the 9 targets were screens or jet sweeps. I like that stat.
Wait,
I actually think that's a good thing though. Like in one game, he got 6 targets that were basically design plays. So that was my point in stealing signals. Was like, I didn't see that as a terrible thing. Like that is a lot of usage that is probably going to be consistent, sort of like Debo. And then Debo, we also saw get some downfield stuff this week that really hit, and you can really pop if you hit on a big play. He's going to need some downfield stuff at some point, but do we really think he's going to go the whole season and not get some shots down the field? Probably not. I think this is like a good, stable floor on a weekly basis, right?
When a play is designed to get the guy we have in our lineups the ball, that's good because that counts for 1 plus whatever he goes for after. So yeah, I mean, it's not, you don't want that to be his only role, but I think I definitely would prefer to have a guy getting screen passes than not.
But I mean, in fairness, James O'Shaughnessy is going to be a 20% target per out run guy all year long, so that's going to make it tough for those short area targets.
Well, don't paint the bear case, dude. He could be 30.
My issue with this is this role is what we were drafting Rondell Moore for with a better quarterback, like the gadget touches, yards after the catch, but we were getting that in round 10. Like we paid the round 6 price tag for Laviska, hoping that he could also get some intermediary and downfield targets. So like if he does ultimately get pigeonholed into this, like
it's not ideal.
Like 3 to 4 round premium.
If he does, but if Viska is anything close to what we think he is as a talent, which is why we were paying the premium, he's not going to get pigeonholed in that. I mean, that's sort of the point, is like you make some plays on some of these touches and things, like they're going to continue to get you the ball and find ways to get you the ball. That's why we were drafting him. Well, I think we get too caught up in role and too small sample size, and I'm the guy that literally writes a freaking way too damn much diving into every little nuance of the role, but it's so easy to get overly, like, we know everything is chaos in the NFL. Things change constantly.
But the thing, I think that I completely agree with you. No one has to sell anyone in here about Viska's talent. But I mean, Urban Meyer, we need to retire him, right? Like he is a massive concern for this offense. I mean, he gave Carlos Hyde more touches than James Robinson. Like, what the fuck's going on?
He did run around on 79% of dropbacks, which is not ideal, but it's also not, I believe off the top of my head, he was more in the 60 to 70% range last year. So it's an increase over what he was seeing last year. More of a full-time, closer to a full-time player at least.
Here's like kind of the pro thing on Viska that I would say is that they were so behind, and they're going to be, but like they were chucking it down the field. Like Chark had 199 air yards. Marvin Jones had a ton of air yards. Like I don't think they're going to be like so many targets down the field to Chark and Marvin Jones. Like they were just like chasing so much. Like if they can stay somewhat like on script or whatever you want to say, there's going to be more intermediate targets and stuff. I haven't looked at Lawrence's ADOT as a passer, average intended air yards or whatever. I bet you it's among the highest. I'll pull it up on Next Gen Stats. But like they're not going to just be chucking it down the field, right?
Yeah.
I think we're going to get a good Viska, a much better Viska roll within the next 2 weeks. Like I feel very, very strongly about that.
You know who had an ADOT of just above 4? Because Viska had an ADOT of 4. Allen Robinson. You know what else did? Deep threat to Demir Bird. Jarvis Landry. It's 1 week.
Yeah, like, 1 game ADOTs are like very noisy, man. They're very noisy.
I wouldn't. I mean, look, I'm not saying Viska's definitely going to have some of the deeper stuff that we're going to need him to have to pay off, but we certainly can't say he won't because of a 1 game sample.
Yeah. Size. You could definitely spin what I just said the other way. They threw downfield a ton. They were throwing downfield to Chark and Jones a ton, and they didn't throw downfield to Viska at all. Yeah,
which is
you
bad.
Can spin it the other way.
That's definitely
like Allen
bad.
Robinson and Bird. Their whole offense wasn't throwing downfield. Andy Dalton was not pushing the ball in the field. You can spin it that way too.
But I'm inclined to go. They threw a ton. They just got the Texans. Just said we're going to do whatever we want to your defense. The Texans. This team is going to be throwing a ton. So. That's good. I like to have the wide receivers. I think Lawrence showed that he's gonna, he threw 3 interceptions, but I think at least in terms of a garbage time passer, he's gonna be competent. So like the signal that we got there, right, is overall I think tilts bullish. They want to involve him. They're gonna throw a lot. It's not perfect, but I actually feel a little bit better about Viska. I don't know. Maybe I'm just too in the bag for him, but. I mean, for the same reason that I'm in on O'Shaughnessy, I'm like, hey, this team might throw a ton. I want pieces.
At least with the Jags, you can hang their hat on the fact that they did throw a ton, while losing. Like that's why I was listening to Ben, you and Sean talk, and Sean has me fucking spooked as all get out on the Falcons in Ridley in Pitts with just kind of how they handled some of their negative game script stuff and running it up the gut on 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, and. His thesis was basically like, if we're not getting garbage time, Falcons, like these guys could be, massive misses at where we were drafting them.
Yeah, I'm hoping we see something really different from them this week. I mean, the only thing you can really hope with that is that we see something very, very different.
Yeah.
There's definitely precedent. I'll say this, having, written signals and been deep in the weeds with the 1 week stuff. Every week, there's definitely precedent for. I have learned this lesson. I've been writing this article since 2017, where I was like, these trends this is crazy in week 1, and then they don't do anything like it the rest of the season. Like week 1 sometimes looks like a little bit like the preseason or something. It ends up looking nothing like the rest of the year for certain teams. I mean, like Tampa last year looked like shit in week 1. They were bad against New Orleans. Brady looked washed, and then they went out and they were very good pretty much from that point on. They started getting a lot better by literally week 2. There's a lot of times teams are just not comfortable in their first game of the year.
Yeah, but what is your take? Because Sean's take was like Ridley should have probably been a 4th round player. Like if we redraft now, I mean, that scares me when he says that.
I don't know if I'd go that far. I certainly wouldn't go that far.
Yeah.
It wasn't good. I mean, there's nothing about the Falcons game that was good. It was pretty gross, but I gotta imagine the whole Arthur Smith thing is really challenging because he left Tennessee and went to Atlanta, and it seems like both teams got worse because of it.
Both teams got worse, yeah.
And that's weird. What was he not if Tennessee's struggling now, was he not the genius in Tennessee? How is he's gonna figure it out in Atlanta then, right? Someone's got to give.
Well,
I don't know.
The thing that's weird about Tennessee, at the Tennessee one makes sense because they get the new OC, they immediately are 30th in situation neutral, second per play, so they're slow. They immediately go slow. Part of the magic of the Titans were that they played up-tempo bully ball. Well, the play action goes away too. Henry doesn't have a good game, and they're slow. It's like everything about the Tennessee magic is gone. So that part actually I think makes sense. It's like the narrative of you lost Arthur Smith, and you stop doing everything he was doing, and it stops working. Makes total sense. But what I don't get is the Arthur Smith and Atlanta thing, because they were run heavy compared to what you would have expected. They had
but so
pass rate over expectation of -8%, which is
right. But one of the things so the expectation would have been that they threw a ton because they got beat pretty good.
They got beat.
And it's like they almost just packed it in because it was week 1 and they wanted to get back. Like that's what I'm talking about with the week 1 stuff is like the game script stuff can really get out of hand. This happened with the Packers clearly. They only got 17 plays in the first half. The Saints had 2 15-play drives. By the second half, Rodgers throws a couple of bad third quarter interceptions. They go for it on 4th late in the third. Pretty soon their backups are in the game. Their backups played like 30% of their offensive snaps because they didn't even run many snaps before they were completely blown out. Atlanta blown out relatively early in that game, not that early. The Eagles scored 10 points in the 4th, but like they weren't competitive. And I think they kind of just like threw in the towel, like we're going back to the drawing board. Tennessee, same thing. They were down by double digits from the 8-minute mark of the first quarter on. They never got within double digits. So my hypothesis with the play action stuff is like maybe they just weren't like, we know that you don't have to necessarily run to set up play action, but maybe they just were like the coaches think that you have to. Basically, you hear coaches talk, they think that like they maybe were like, look, we haven't established the run, we can't run play. Like they were just doing.
But I don't think Arthur Smith thought that.
Yeah, he was probably a little bit better about that, but I don't think I'll put it this way: it's maybe one explanation for why their play action pass rate cratered so much in week 1 with the Titans. Like maybe we're overreacting a little bit. Is that they were down by double digits for 7/8 of that game, from the middle of the first quarter to the end of the game.
The Titans?
Yes.
Yeah. No. I'm like more confused by Atlanta, who was run heavy in a situation where you would expected them to be.
Right, but I think they just kind of threw in the towel. That's sort of my point. It's like. I think the game script explains some of this stuff. Like it's just kind of,
and also to your point, the Burrow one, like the Bengals were the most run heavy against expectation team in the league after we thought they were going to be super pass heavy, but they're clearly protecting Burrow in his first game back. So
right.
Some of this stuff
in one game samples is going to be, you're going to have to add context. And the point I'm trying to make is especially in week 1, when things just like don't go the right way or whatever. Teams just react weirdly sometimes.
Yeah, and I mean the thing too with that's just weird. It's like one thing if you're like throwing in the towel and you're just going to run Derrick Henry or an above average running back. It's another thing when you're throwing in the towel with Mike Davis, who literally has no chance to break a big play to spark anything. It is like quite literally waving the white flag.
There was a lot of really weird shit too, like the fact that they lined up in the I formation in the first half and gave Cordero Patterson a run right up the middle. It was like, I understand like they don't have a lot of running backs or whatever, but like that's really what you came out of the offseason with? 30-year-old Cordero Patterson in the I formation in the first half of your first game? Like that's Arthur Smith, the sharp ass coach. Like, no, I was like, what are you? And Cordero Patterson looked pretty efficient in that game, but like still.
Is Patterson really 30? That bums me out.
Yeah, he's 30 years old, and now he's going to be a I-form running back at this stage of his career, apparently. I didn't understand.
Well, Mostert was 29. He could do it. Have some faith.
I think those guys were like literally within like 3 to 4 picks, and I think Hawkinson over Pitts.
No, we were taking Pitts over Hawk. I think
I'm saying, but they were within 4 picks of ADP, and I would definitely flip that now.
Yeah, I would flip it. Yeah,
for sure.
It wasn't like a huge mistake, but I think you want Hawkinson now over Pitts.
I was taking Hawk over Pitts, so
yeah,
leave me out of your.
sorry for lumping you in.
I already made enough mistakes.
Oh yeah, their ADPs were super close. When they fell to me, I would take Pitts for sure, but now you have to flip it. You saw everything you want out of Hawkins.
You saw everything you wanted. Although I will say, and I was like more on the skeptical side with Pitts, where like. I wanted to have some exposure, and I'm glad I do, but I feel like it got, I just thought his ADP was a little too high, and it was like tough for me to draft him in best ball until he dropped in the 5th round a little bit at the end. But we got a lot of what we wanted out of Pitts too. It's just the offense looks terrible.
Oh, he was good for sure.
Yeah, he's heavily involved. Like for a rookie tight end in his first game, he was like heavily involved. Got 8 targets.
I'll book you on that.
I'll book this too, Eric. PPR, full PPR.
Dude, Hawks catching 100 balls. Get out of here.
$100 from each of us.
Yeah, let's do
buy
it.
Him for.
Book it. Buy him for.
We have so much more Pitts exposure. It's like
I know.
It's a no-brainer for us.
Well, it's funny because Pitts was in some of those drafts, his ADP was all over the place. Like Hawkinson's was in like a fairly tight range, but Pitts, some like 101 teams would take him at 3-1 because they wanted him. And then like Chris G in one of the last drafts on Saturday got him at 312. So like he was a sliding scale over there.
The Pitts thing, I love Pitts. I want to be as high on Pitts as possible. I was talking about this in rookie season, like thinking very, very highly of him when I wrote up the prospects. Moved him in like my Superflex rankings that I wrote up on Stealing Signals to like 102 ahead of a bunch of the quarterbacks. It's like, man, you just want this guy. He's generational. I was doing Superflex tight end premium rankings. Pat can speak to this very well too, but we've talked a bunch about the rookie tight end stuff. And one of my whole things was like the rookie tight end thing was a bad comp. And I thought that was being pushed a lot early. His ADP got to a point where it was no longer even close to the rookie tight end thing being weighed in, basically. Like you're talking about him having to be a difference-making tight end in year one. I think Pitts can have a phenomenal career and have like a 600, 700 yard season, which is fine, but it's not good for a tight end in round 4 when he's going around some receivers that are inevitably going to get 1,500 yards. Like if you're taking him in round 4, he has to go for 1,000 yards as a rookie. There's like no other out.
Well, yeah. I mean, he has to produce like an elite. Like you're drafting him to where even with the tight end premium, you need him to be an elite rookie wide receiver. You know, like and that's hard. I mean, for a guy who's going to be playing, you know, who actually is a tight end to produce like an elite rookie wide receiver.
And the fact that he's playing receiver doesn't change the fact that it's still hard for a receiver to be that good. Elite rookie receivers.
Right, that's what
he
I'm
was going ahead of
yeah.
Chase. We saw Chase drop a couple balls. Chase drops back like 3 rounds behind Pitts. I understand you get the positional value, so Pitts ADP should be higher. But regardless, what we're saying is these guys have to be productive immediately. Like the fact that he's a freak athlete, it matters, but freak athletes start slow. Julio Jones didn't have a monster start to his career, right? Calvin Johnson, I can't remember exactly. Julio Jones scored a bunch of TDs as a rookie, but it took him like 3 years to start being a target hawk. What ceilings are targets?
Also, if he's not a freak athlete, he's not the number 4 overall pick either. So
right,
you
Calvin Johnson, 93 targets, 48 catches, 750 yards, 4 TDs as a rookie. Second year he goes for 1,312. Right? I mean that's what happens to even like the best freak athlete receivers of all time. Calvin Johnson went on to be arguably one of the all-time greatest receivers. I mean, he had a short career, so we don't talk about him like in Jerry Rice, Randy Moss conversation. I think he's right there in some respects. But like it took him a year. Go look at Julio Jones' first couple years. Like all of a sudden people were like, Kyle Pitts is definitely going to hit. And that's where I'm drafting him as.
DK
like,
Metcalf took a year.
Julio Jones was good, 960 and 8, but he only caught 54 passes. You have to build target volume. Like the reason I just booked that bet is because Hawkinson looks like he's going to get 150 targets, right? Like Pitts,
yeah,
it's tough, man.
Well, and to me too, it's more about just how those offenses handled those negative game scripts, right? Like the Lions were willing to continue to pass and push the ball downfield and just do anything to try to get themselves back in the game, where we just talked about the Falcons waving the white flag. And it's like, they're going to find themselves in plenty of negative game scripts this year. They are going to get trounced by the Bucs this weekend. Like, are they going to go into a shell and give Mike Davis 25 carries again? Like, that's a concern.
Yeah, our perception of these coaches are not necessarily the players' perception of these coaches. Like it is, I do enjoy that the Lions came to play and the Eagles came to play after we just thought their coaches were donkeys, and you know we're kind of drafting accordingly.
So,
I don't think that means these guys are like the sharpest coaches in the league or anything. But you know, their players want to win, and you know they were able to get buy-in, and I actually was impressed with, to Pete's point, that the Lions were. I think they threw above expectation even. Like they were playing to win the game. They weren't playing to go home and keep their pride like we were worried they would.
A lot of that's because they threw 31 passes in the fourth quarter out of 32 plays. They got the onside kick. They got the fumble. They got some extra drives. They literally ran 32 plays in the fourth, 84 snaps. But by and for rights, I love Hawk, but it's an overreaction to almost 60 Lions passes. and Pitt's target share was higher than Hawk. The counter to that is that in the first half, which is what I looked at in signals, if you would read it, is that they only threw 20 passes and Hawkinson had 7 targets. He only finished with 10 targets. All the fucking scrubs are the ones who hurt Hawkinson's target share because of those 31 fourth quarter passes. Trinity Benson, Quintez Cephas, both those guys had 0 first half passes. If you watch the game as well, you'd know that they were throwing to Hawkinson constantly in the first half. In garbage time, they were throwing to these scrubs a bunch. So actually, Hawkinson was extremely involved.
Why can't we be in this league? Mitchell for $7.55 and Hasty for $1. Sounds reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's find out what podcast they watch. Maybe they were.
I just love coming at Fine for though. We're doing a show on Sunday mornings on Roto Grinders.
Plug that. What time is that show each week?
It's gonna be 11:30 to 12:30. So an hour and a half to a half an hour before lock.
Nice.
Every week over at Roto Grinders, me and Bime 4 will sit and talk about some game theory and stuff, which was a lot of fun last week. I'm looking forward to it again this week. But that's why I was saying he needs to get his ass on the stealing signals. I want to convince him before we start week 2 that he got his money in bad.
What Pat, do you do any Sunday morning video stuff?
We're doing Good Football Show goes live before lock. I wasn't on it last week. I may be on it this week. So yeah.
At like what? Like
I believe
at
it.
What time? So look,
yeah.
I got your guys' schedule for you. At 10 a.m., you watch Leone on Wake and Rake with Wiggins. Mm-hmm. At 10:30, you watch me on my YouTube from 10:30 to 11 talking GPP strategy ownership. Then you hop over and you watch Bime 4 and Gretch. You said 11:20?
11:30, yeah.
11:30. You watch them, and then you roll over to Pat on Good Football Show. We just have your entire Sunday morning.
What a morning.
Covered. Just right there, programming wall to wall. Gretch, what can people expect if they haven't signed up for Substack? The week 1, both parts are out in full right now. Plenty to digest there. Anything else they should be looking out for?
Yeah, and I made part 2. I unlocked it. So if you go to bengrash.substack.com, you can go look at all the biggest signals in the noise. I'll throw that out there. I sent it to my free subscribers on the newsletter as like a little sneak peek or whatever. You guys want to go read it? I'm only going to keep it on lock tonight, but go check out my biggest notes from this week if you want. But yeah, Mondays and Tuesdays, stealing signals every week.
Also, got to give a massive plug. So Sam Hoppen had his debut of stat chasing on the ship chasing, absolutely crushing in views. I think when we went live, it was like up to 3,500 views in less than an hour. So you guys are absolutely loving the stat chasing. He's got all his charts going through usage, data trends, all that good stuff. I think we just got the audio up earlier this evening as well, if you want to check it out in that form, although I recommend the video version. But shout out to Sam and all his good work. That's going to be a weekly staple on the channel. We might start doing a little bit with it for the YouTube members, getting a sneak peek of it. So another perk coming for those of you guys who want to become YouTube members, also can get access to the Discord through that membership. Lots of good waiver talk, lots of good strategy going on, a really good way to build up to the Wednesday waiver wire run. Pat, any other things you want people to look out for from you?
Yeah, I got 2 things. One, on Friday, I'm going to have the first edition of this preview column that I am going to every week, previewing the NFL slate, the main Sunday, well, basically every game but the Thursday game I'm going to be doing preview of. And then very stats-based preview, as you would expect. And then Sunday nights, this is actually already out for last week, but look for this to hit your podcast feed late Sunday nights and Monday morning, hosting the recap show for a Good Football Show. All the guys who just finished watching the games, we've got everyone split up covering all the games. They come on, I ask them about the game, what they saw. It's a really nice kind of way to wind down your Sunday, pick up on Monday, listen to the games that you didn't have a chance to watch, get a sense of what actually happened.
Awesome. And as we also, this is our first show since our Vegas meetup. We had an absolutely incredible time hanging out with all of you ship chasers, drafting, hang out at the pool, and of course our dinner that got legitimately out of hand on Saturday night. We were stacking ice cubes. We need to get the full photo set of those released. I believe our buddy Ivan has a nice photo set that he's going to get over to me. We'll get those posted. But honestly, was so great meeting you guys. We had a blast, and I hope next year we can do it even bigger. I know with Corona and short notice and stuff, not everyone was able to come out, but clear your calendars now. Next year, 2022, ship chasing in Vegas. We're going to do it up again. No excuses. You guys have a full year to get prepared. We're going to have a blast out there, and it was great hanging with everyone. We will be back as usual next Wednesday. Before next Wednesday, we'll have the week 3 stat chasing with Sam. We'll see you guys in the Discord. Good luck in week 2.